To our honorees and my fellow Lancers, I'd like to say welcome home. And to all of our visitors, welcome to Orange Lutheran. First, I would like to take note of all of our Lancer alums, so if you would, please stand up. I saw a guy from Servite just stand up right now. You're standing right in front of me. I have to call you out. Thanks, Dave. He came with Mike Crawford. Just throwing that out there. My name is Paul Jones. I'm the athletic director here at Orange Lutheran, and I'm an alum of 2002. Nobody's ever clapped for that before, so thank you. As Orange Lutheran has undoubtedly seen many changes here on campus physically, our mission always stays the same, and that is to help students internalize the gospel message of salvation in Christ Jesus. In athletics, we're blessed to have the opportunity to use our talents and gifts as a ministry platform each time we compete, in our community as well as other communities around the nation. Past and present, I thank our coaches, our students, our parents, our teachers for the investment and for laying the foundation for our school that we take such a great pride in. Through your efforts, our reach and impact on our students here as well as people across the nation continues to grow. For example, our baseball program winning the National High School Invitational all the way in North Carolina 2 years in a row. Our boys and girls volleyball, girls water polo, and girls basketball teams winning CIF and/or state in the last 2 years. This strengthens our reach. Oh, you can clap, go ahead. Sure, why not? This strengthens our reach and our ability to impact others for Christ, which is awesome. And we thank everybody in this room and our alum and just everybody from the past who has laid the foundation for us to be so successful, because we understand that we stand on the shoulders of the people who came before us, and that's what makes us so successful now, because without the people who came before us, we would not currently be here. Just like our honorees tonight. And as you know, Orange Lutheran is a very special place, and we all have a story on how we got here and how we were impacted. Mine started as a ball boy and water boy back in the day with Chaz for the football team as a sixth grader. I had the opportunity to watch Coach Cunha lead and watch Mike Crawford terrorize defenses. It was great because I had the opportunity to feel like a member of the team. I'm rushing my parents every Friday night saying, hey, we got to go. We got to be on Lancer time. We got to get there because I'm a water boy, I'm a ball boy, and I'm holding the ball for Josh Nelson to practice his PATs. I'm really important. We've got to go. So having that opportunity to feel like part of the team was awesome. And that's where my Lancer journey began, where I knew that I wanted to be a part of the Lancer family and community. I wanted to sing the Alma Mater after football games, and I wanted to be a part of the on-field prayers after every game. And so that is where my journey began as a sixth grader being welcomed into the Lancer family. And so like I was welcomed as a sixth grader, I welcome our alumni home and all of our visitors onto the Orange Lutheran campus to celebrate our rich history and our honorees. Now we're going to have alum Jacob Mccree sing the national anthem, followed by a prayer by Lancer legend Miss Nancy Paul.
say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Here we are, Lord, experiencing a moment of your grace as we celebrate milestones of athletic achievement garnered in the past through the competitive efforts of Lancer alumni and coaches being honored today. Countless miles of hills and flatland were covered. Scrambling QBs made ineffective and often sacked. Pigskin yards were accumulated, passes caught, and TDs tallied. They affirmed the words of Paul written in 1 Corinthians. Be watchful, stand firm in your faith, be courageous, be strong. Strengthened by faith and prepared for the future, may those who will wear the red and white and gold in the years to come be lifted up with the same humility, indomitable will, and God-given talents as the celebrated lifetime Lancers before us. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. It is to his glory they have played. And now, come, be our guest. May the food prepared be a blessing to all. Amen.
Orange Lutheran Athletics Hall of Fame celebrates the rich tradition of competition and achievement at Orange Lutheran High School. For every touchdown, three-pointer, goal, home run, or record-breaking sprint today, there was one that laid the groundwork years before. These milestones are the drivers for the ambitious next generation of Lancers.
Good evening. It's great to see everyone here. Once again, on behalf of the Orange Lutheran High School and its many community members, both past and present, we thank you and thank you for joining us here this evening. My name is Mr. Todd Eklund, and I am blessed to serve here as principal at Orange Lutheran High School. Along with the many faculty, staff, and coaches that have come before me, and those that I'm honored to serve alongside on a daily basis, I'm extremely proud to be able to represent OLU and the storied history here on campus. Most importantly, the programs and people that provide for platforms for all of our students through our mission so that they may pursue their God-given gifts and talents. For many of you, we welcome you back here to the Lancer family, back to a campus that serves as a refuge to all along the way, and back into a facility emblazoned with many athletic achievements, special community narratives, and names of greats who help form our identity as an instrument of the Lord. Like the gym of old, where our current Nikita Center stands, this athletic center is one that honors and recognizes those who have made great contributions to this school and to the Orange Lutheran community. We see it on the name of the building, on the walls, here on the banners, and of course here on the court. So here in the Elwine Center, here on the Nancy Paul Court, it is our distinct pleasure to share the same sense of pride as we continue the celebration of over 45 years of ministry by celebrating and honoring the athletic accomplishments, services, and contributions of our newest athletic Hall of Fame inductees. 1973 to 2019, the Arrowhead League, the Olympic League, the Empire League, to now, here in the Trinity League. The road has certainly been blessed over the years for so many of our student athletes and our entire Lancer community. Tonight, we are once again honored to welcome in our next class, our fifth class of inductees, former student athletes and a former coach who spent their years on this very campus orchestrating Lancer culture, Lancer spirits, Lancer pride. And whether they knew this school as Lou High, as Orange Lutheran, as Lutheran High, or as OLU, we know that their identity as a Lancer stood for so much greater than a name. From packed stadiums to road trips, grueling courses and championship games, championship meets, pep rallies, rivalries, and yes, even in defeat. They stood proud as they represented their Lord and Savior near and far. In the roles as Lancer, they played such an important part of our ministry story and formation, and their accomplishments today have helped to pave the way for the many opportunities that our student athletes revel in. Throughout our history, we celebrate no matter the year, no matter the season of sports, that the Orange Lutheran community has passionately pursued the very best for our student athletes for the glory of our Lord and Savior first and foremost. Our mission has remained the same throughout all of our years that our teams have been representing Orange Lutheran on the fields and on the courts and on the ice and in the pool and even in this very gymnasium. And so our partnership with our community throughout our past is just as important now as it will be in year 50 and year 75 and down the road that the Lord has prepared for us in future years to come. So tonight we get to thank and praise and celebrate the Lord for illuminating some pretty special gifts of our inductees who are able to shine on some pretty phenomenal platforms. A special group of individuals indeed, and a very special group of Lancers tonight. So as we engage this celebration, I'd like to take the time to recognize and thank all of the friends and family who are here tonight, just as many of you were here in the past. We thank you for your overwhelming support of our newest inductees and for your partnership and for your support of the gospel imparted through our mission over the years. Would also like to thank our entire development team and our alumni board and the many others internally for their tireless efforts to make this very special evening possible. And finally, we would like to recognize our current Hall of Fame members. Some who are with us this evening to help honor and celebrate our newest inductees who will join them in this special honor and recognition tonight. So if you're a current member of the Orange Lutheran Athletic Hall of Fame, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. On behalf of our past and present faculty, staff, coaches, administration, community, and all of the Lancer family worldwide, both past and present, would you please join me once again in applauding our 5th class of inductees who you're about to meet. And so, to introduce our first inductee, it is now my pleasure to welcome up a special alum from the class of 2008, Mr. Cameron Everhart. During his time as a Lancer, Cameron served the community as a gifted student, leader, mentor, and runner in the cross-country and track programs. Today, he continues in the same spirit of service as he serves our country as First Lieutenant for the National Guard in the area of intelligence. In his career, he serves as a GIS analyst for Aero Environment in Thousand Oaks. Mr. Cameron Everhart, we thank you for your service to our country, and we give you thanks for your family as well, who continues to pour into the ministry of Orange Lutheran really on a daily basis. Would you please join me in welcoming up Mr. Cameron Everhart? Thank you.
So the other day, as I was watching a news conference covering Mike Trout's historic extension with the Anaheim Angels, General Manager Billy Eppert told reporters that Mike Trout is not just successful, but that he's significant. And the difference between the two, he stated, is that significance is when you're helping others to be successful. And like Mike Trout, Dr. Jack Preus is one of the most significant men I've ever met. I remember the first meeting we had at Orange Lutheran in the lower conference room, kind of right beneath us. My mom and I show up to the fall parent-athlete meeting, and I'm thinking, like, what could you possibly talk about for a running meeting? Like you put one foot in front of the other for a long time, and the one who does it the fastest wins. Like, that's running. Like, what could you possibly talk about? But no, Coach has a PowerPoint of running theory. He discusses the importance of shoes, understanding the nutrition for runners, what type of stretching and cross-training is best. He has stats on the phases of running and the importance of developing a solid base mileage, or as he put it, putting hay in the barn. Coach Preus is significant. What other coach would dedicate this kind of time to educate and guide his students of the sport? It's no wonder that when Coach Preus became the boys and the girls cross-country head coach, they would go on to win California State cross-country championships. Coach Preus is significant. I'll never forget when Coach Preus led me to the next tier of cross-country runners in California at the Arcadia Invitational. I'll never forget it. Coach Preus specifically wrote a training plan for me that I absolutely obsessed over. I would put pieces of paper all around my room with the time of the lap I wanted to run in each lap for the 2-mile. Every week, he would meet with me to go over my goals and ways to reach it. The first meeting, I remember saying, Coach, I might be stretching it here, but I'd like to run like a 9-minute, 40-second 2-mile at Arcadia. And he looks at me, and he calmly responds, Cameron, don't hold yourself back. Believe in yourself, and I think you could get down to about 9:20. And I was like, I said, what? It's amazing what belief in your student athletes will do, as I would later go on to break the school record with a time of 9 minutes and 17 seconds. Coach Preus is significant. But more important than any of the successes his athletes, my teammates, would achieve, Coach Preus was a model for his athletes on how to live a Christian life, which is what it's all about. He was and still is a mentor for me personally, providing me with spiritual insight, planning goals for my life, developing a relationship with God, understanding the importance of prayer. He taught us how to use running as a form of worship. Who else does that? It's unbelievable. Coach Preus just does it right. I don't know another way to put it. He displays perfect leadership, understanding not to be best friends with his athletes, but also not too distant. He led by example and was always the model in my mind when I recently deployed to Kosovo last year with 47 soldiers. One way to see the fruits of Coach Preus's character is one glance at his beautiful, gorgeous family. The way he treats his wife and kids, the compassion and true love that he frequently displays. Us athletes, my teammates, we see that. We pick up on those little things. And as my beautiful wife, Melissa, and I expect our first child this fall, I almost made it. I pray that I am half the man Coach Preus is. Jack Preus is significant. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Coach Jack Preus.
I'm overwhelmed, and I thank you, Cameron, for that really wonderful introduction and those very kind words. I want to thank so many people. I want to thank, first of all, the Alumni Board and the work of the team here at Orange Lutheran to put this really special event together. It just keeps getting better and better every time I come, and I just appreciate the effort that this team has put into this. It's such a great honor and a privilege to be part of this wonderful event today. And it was an incredible honor to serve for so many years as a coach and a teacher and an administrator here at Orange Lutheran. And it's humbling and it's thrilling to see so many family members and friends, former athletes, former colleagues in attendance tonight, and to be able to reconnect with so many people. Thank you all for being here to be part of the celebration. I want to start by saying how grateful I am to my wife, Anna, my family. Her sacrifice was great. All the time spent at meets, the late nights doing administrative work for so many years. She was so supportive, coming to so many meets, every meet that she could, cheering on the athletes, connecting with the families. She truly adopted cross country and track and field as her own ministry. Many athletes I coached over the years claimed that how important she was to the program. Without you, dear, I wouldn't be here today. To the coaches I coached alongside, too many to count over the years, I'm grateful for your incredible sacrifice, the support of the mission, the commitment to excellence, for their work, for your work in ministry to the students along the way. I especially want to recognize the Ponce family. They're here tonight. Guy Ponce, who went to be with the Lord in 2008, just a few short months after the girls won that state championship, was a dear friend and mentor to me as a young coach. I thank God for him and grateful for his commitment to ensuring that the important does not take a back seat, right, to the urgent. In fact, most notably, he was known for ensuring that prayer was the most important thing we did, and the runners here today certainly will never forget that. Ponce impacted hundreds of athletes over the years with that message. To the great leaders of Orange Lutheran over the years, I'm grateful that you took a chance on a young, inexperienced coach back in the day. Without you and your faith and belief in me, I wouldn't be here today either. And of course, to the athletes and the parents that I had a privilege of working with, thank you for entrusting me with such an important period of growth and development. Finally, I'm grateful to our Lord and Savior, the author of our faith, who sustained me and those who I had a privilege to serve with. This ministry and our program existed to serve the King and to make his name known. My journey began 27 years ago in the winter of 1992. Get this. One morning in February, my dad woke me up. I was a freshman in high school. And he woke me up and took me on my first run ever. My dad's here today. And that began I'm just so grateful, Dad, that God empowered you to encourage me to take up running that day. And with your help, I began a journey that transformed my life and led me to want to spend a career in a ministry sharing God's love through coaching and education. Thank you, Dad and Mom, for supporting and inspiring me along the way. And I have some incredible memories of my time as a coach, too many to recount here. By far the best times were the ones spent with the athletes, often not in the throes of competition. The time that some of the boys just happened to be in Kauai on my honeymoon and showed up at our dinner with a ukulele and serenaded us. Listening to the runners sing and laugh in the back of the van as we drove all over California to various meets. Watching our athletes grow into young men and women right in front of our eyes. What a blessing it was to be even a small part of your lives. When I was teaching and coaching, I adopted Colossians 2:2-3 as a focus and theme for my work. It reads, "My goal is that they may be encouraged in heart and united in love, so that they may have the full riches of complete understanding, in order that they may know the mystery of God, namely Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge." As coaches and athletes, we pursued greatness, seeking to bring out our best. In the classroom, we sought to learn and grow to realize our greatest potential. However, it is only when we seek Christ we were able to find true wisdom and knowledge. And this is something that I continue to embrace in my career and work after leaving Orange Lutheran. May God lead all of us closer to Him so that we can find encouragement, we can find unity, as well as be led to great wisdom and knowledge that exceeds our understanding. Most notably, that we are redeemed, loved, and called children of God. Thank you again for this great honor. I'm truly privileged. Thank you.
Well, Jack, congratulations to you once again, and thank you for the special role that you played here as a teacher, coach, and an administrator. If you had the blessing to be coached by him or to work alongside him, you know that his leadership is like none other. So, Jack, thank you for your lifelong friendship to this community and to me personally as well. I am thrilled that I now get to introduce a very special member of our fourth class of inductees, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2017. His fingerprint and prominent role in the formation and growth of Orange Lutheran began well before this time, as his role in the Special Lancer community really continues to bless this ministry today. It's not only seen in many of the accomplishments here on the banners in the gym, but more importantly, it was his impact as seen in the current football program today, in the prominence of the Olu brand in the community, and especially in the lives of the young men who now serve their communities and their families as faithful men of God. His impact is also seen here on this campus daily, as many of his former players have returned back to this very campus to serve as faculty, staff members, and coaches who now give back and impart the same mentorship, character formation, and champions for life mentality that was imparted to them through his transformational leadership. So what a blessing we have tonight to welcome back a cherished community member, championship coach, and faithful man of God, a true Lancer legend both then and now. Would you please join me in welcoming Mr. Jim Cunha.
We had quite a few traditions in our football program, and when Mike was playing, or Eric, and all our guys were playing, one of the things that we would say before every game was, when a task is once begun, you leave it not until it's done. Be a matter great or small, do it well or not at all. And the young man that I get to introduce as the next inductee into this Hall of Fame is someone who always did it well, who always gave it his all. Mike Crawford. Mike, I remember Mike as a freshman in 1993. Mike broke his thumb, and so he couldn't really play football that first year. So the first time we really had a chance to see him was his sophomore year in spring practice in 1994. And Mike was all of about probably 5'8", maybe 132 pounds. And I'm thinking, well, you know, he'd probably be a really good player on our JV team. And little did I know, Mike ends up, of course, being a 3-year starter. He starts as a sophomore, and he and our great quarterback, who was a senior that year, Joe Giuliano, developed a special chemistry. And Mike goes on to be our leading receiver that year in catches and yardage and touchdowns. And he helped set a tone for our team that was very, very special. That was the first year in kind of year 2 of our program that we reached a CIF championship game. And between Mike and Joe and all those great young men, they established a standard that remained there over the next, since then. That was extremely special. As a junior, Mike showed, again, just flashes of greatness. He was consistently outstanding. And I think the thing, that when I think about Mike as an athlete, I do think about some special athleticism. I mean, he was super quick. He could run routes like nobody I had ever seen before. And he had great hands. But most of all, he had a fearlessness, for being such a small guy in kind of a big man's game. And there were a lot of guys who wore the different jerseys who didn't really like him very much. And they would kind of approach him at full speed, trying to separate not only him from the ball, but probably him from himself, because he was such a weapon. But Mike, I think, came by these things through his mom and dad. His dad was a great athlete, played for the California Angels, a Major League Baseball player. And I think he got that fearlessness and that poise and that perseverance, which are so critical for an athlete that plays that particular position in football, from his mom. Those traits that he had made him something ultra special. And so he helped lead us to 2 CIF championship games and a CIF semifinal in his 3 years. He ended his career as the all-time leading receiver in Orange Lutheran history, which is really something. When there are great receivers in this crowd here tonight, and there have been a lot over the years. But he ended his career with 148 catches for 2,752 yards and 31 touchdowns, record that still stands today. But I think a story that to me really says an awful lot about Mike is what happened in that first year after he left Orange Lutheran. Mike had a few scholarship offers, and he decided on TCU. And Mike was back on his recruiting trip, and he doesn't know this, but I got a call from Pat Sullivan, who was the head football coach at TCU when Mike was on his recruiting trip. And he calls me up and he says, "Coach, hey, I know we said we were going to offer Mike a scholarship. When we watched the film, he's a really outstanding player. We could tell he wasn't really that big, but when he showed up here, we measured him at 5'9". He's just a little over 150 pounds, and I'm just not sure he can really play at this level. And I'm really not sure if we're going to be able to keep offering him a scholarship." And that opened up a conversation. We talked for about 15 minutes, and at the end of the conversation, Coach Sullivan said to me, "All right, well, we'll keep the scholarship there, but he's going to have to redshirt, and he's going to have to get a lot bigger and stronger, and I'm only promising this 1 year." And I said, "Coach, I understand. When he first came and I first saw him, I wasn't quite sure either if you just give him a chance." And so I thought, well, this first year is going to be pretty tough for Mike. He's kind of starting out, not looked at real highly by the coaching staff, and he'll redshirt, and he's going to have to work really hard there in Texas. And then I think it was about 2 weeks before their first game, they were playing up at Kansas in Lawrence. And Mike calls and he says, "Hey, I just want you to know," just kind of matter-of-factly, "I made the travel squad. I'll be going with the team up to Kansas." Now, I know a little bit at that time, the college teams could only take about 60 guys, and they had 110 guys on the team. And I thought, well, you don't take guys who are redshirting to go play in the opening game of a season. And his mom went to the game, and I went to the game, and I'm just so unbelievably thrilled that he has somehow made the team, and he's gotten to travel. I don't think he'll ever see the light of day playing, but just the fact that he was there as a reserve was incredible. And I'll never forget the first series of the game. TCU starts out, and they get a couple yards on 2 running plays. So it's 3rd and 8, and it's a passing situation. And the next thing I know, number 86 for TCU, Mike Crawford, goes into the game and takes the play into the game. And he proceeds to play about 70% of that game, and then started the rest of the games that year and for the next 3 years in college at TCU and at Nevada. And what that said about Mike, about his character, about his fearlessness, his poise, his perseverance, was he did something that I've maybe seen in 1 in 500 or 1 in 1,000 athletes. That kind of achievement. Truly incredible. So it's my pleasure to bring up right now one of the greatest athletes in Orange Lutheran history, Mike Crawford.
Of course, the real superstars wanted to come join Daddy, so indeed. Chloe and Everly up here with me. Thank you, Jim, for the introduction. This is a special day. I'm a crier, so hope I can make it through. I feel very privileged to be here. I want to start by thanking my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Secondly, I would like to sincerely thank everyone on the committee for thinking of me for this wonderful recognition. Becoming a member of the Orange Lutheran Athletic Hall of Fame is one of the most meaningful honors I've ever received. I'm truly honored and blessed to be in this year's class with the great Jack Preus, Eric Augustine, Staci Foster Nash, and the 2007 state championship cross-country team. Being a part of the Orange Lutheran football program had a significant influence on my life, and has helped shape me into the person I am today. I want to share a story that you got to actually hear about a little bit from Coach Cunha. But as a 5'7", 120-pound freshman, and having never played tackle football ever in my life, I decided to go out for the Orange Lutheran football team because that's what you did. Go meet kids and just what you did. Unfortunately, as you heard from Coach, I did. I broke my thumb in practice. At that time, my freshman year, I was a running back, and then they asked me to also be the holder for the extra points. And unfortunately, our kicker kicked my hand instead of the ball. And so, the rest of my season was done. And so I moved on and stayed with the team and, rooted those guys on. And then in the transition, going into sophomore year, after beefing up to a whopping 5'8" and 135 pounds, Coach Mike Monarch, who's here tonight, approached me and told me that he was going to bring me up to varsity as a wide receiver. And I quickly responded, "No, you're not. Those guys are huge." So Coach Monarch, his wishes prevailed, though. I was brought up to varsity. I played sparingly until my first fear was realized. Tom Pinnell, our senior wide receiver, the leader for us, unfortunately hurt his ankle. And that was my opportunity that was given to me. And so I was thrust into the starting lineup, and I'll never forget it. We got to play Whittier Christian. And thanks to the faith of our starting quarterback, Mr. Joe Giuliano, who's here tonight, he threw me a slant. And I ran for my life. And luckily at the end of that, it resulted in a 70-yard touchdown. I won't say that all of my fears disappeared after that game, but I did learn that football could be fun, even for a 135-pound sophomore. I will always cherish the memories and friends I made during those years, and I want to thank everyone who has supported me and guided me during such an impressionable time. I want to thank my high school football coach, Jim Cunha, who just spoke. Jim's very special to me. I also want to thank Mr. Mike Monarch. And Mike, since Jim was already up here and they got to see Jim, can you stand real quick? Because Mike, very instrumental in my life, and I want to give you a round of applause. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Mike. Besides teaching me the fundamentals of the game and the skills necessary to succeed, they also taught me the meaning of hard work and dedication. Jim, I can't even begin to tell you how much of an impact you've made in my life. You are a man of great character, and I appreciate all that you have done for me. You helped to prepare me for the transition to the collegiate level and how to become a champion for life. You will always be a part of my life. The tough part. All right. I want to thank my mom, Corey Crawford. I would not be where I am today without her unconditional love, support, and encouragement. Man. Daddy. he's struggling. I cannot recall a game or a tournament where she was not in the stands cheering me on. Mom, you have taught me everything about the game of life, knowing the difference between right and wrong, and to be confident in who I am and what I stand for. In addition, your work ethic has served as a great example for me. Thank you for your love, honesty, strength, and your belief in me. I would also like to thank my extended family who is here for always believing in me. There's a special piece as well with a couple guys down there. Chaz Gwynn, who is also one of the greatest receivers to ever play at Orange Lutheran, was my ball boy, water boy, as all of ours. It was such a blessing to be able to share that with him. And then David Pastorella, who's down there, he unfortunately decided to go to Servite. We won't hold that against him, but I know. He also got to be ball boy and water boy during my years as playing. And we grew up, we are cousins, but we definitely grew up probably a little closer than most and consider them my brothers. Last but not least, I want to thank my wife, Laura, who has encouraged me to become a better person and to always pursue my dreams. And finally, after 6 years, I don't have to hear her let me know that she's in the Hall of Fame and I am not. So I joined you, babe. To our beautiful daughters, Chloe and Everly, my love for you is endless. You inspire me every day to be the best dad and to be the best man that I can be. Thank you. I was going to end by singing the doxology, but after running that idea by my wife, I decided to spare you. Instead, I'll leave you with something that every football player that ever played for Coach Cunha knows by heart, and he actually said it when he came up here. So you can feel free to say it with me if you'd like. Once a task is just begun, leave it not until it's done. Be a matter, great or small, do it well or not at all. For we are Lancers born, Lancers bred. We'll be Lancers till the day we're dead. Thank you.
Coach Preus is truly blessed with many qualities that only a gifted coach can impart. If you didn't know, Dr. Preus now serves as a different type of coach and leader, one that is outside of sports, but his leadership lessons and his nuggets of wisdom and his humble servant heart continues to allow his faithfulness to impact the kingdom and have far-reaching impacts into the lives of youth across the country. So would you please join me in welcoming back up Hall of Fame member, Dr. Coach Jack Preus.
I'm back. You're going to learn a lot about me tonight here. I have the great privilege of introducing one of the most accomplished cross-country and track and field athletes, female athletes, in Orange Lutheran's great history, Staci Foster Nash. That's right. I recall first meeting Stacy Foster in my 8th period freshman theology class in the fall of 2005. Little did I know that tiny, quiet freshman sitting in the back of my class would become a Lancer legend. Later, when I became her coach, I quickly realized the extent of her great talent, focus, and drive. And as she matured as an athlete, Stacy made it clear that she desired to be great. After showing great signs of promise her freshman and sophomore years, including earning some incredible accolades, in fact, she won Trinity League titles, she broke school records, she was all-CIF. Her sophomore year in the spring of 2007, she pulled off something incredible. She won at the Trinity League championship meet in track and field. Stacy won the 1,600 meters, the 800 meters, the 3,200 meters, and ran a leg on the winning 4x400 meters, all in the span of 3 hours. After a couple of injuries and setbacks, I observed Stacy double down on her resolve to be the best she can be. She continued to hone her craft by committing to the life of a great athlete. She even adopted, at one point, her senior year the practice of taking daily ice baths at home when she got back from practice. Thanks, Sherry, for your help with that. As her focus became more intense, she just got better and better. Perhaps one of the moments that truly defined Stacy's determination came at the 2009 Orange County Championships 1,600 meters, also known as the mile. Competing against the best of the best in Orange County, the field was absolutely stacked. And coming into the final lap of that race, Stacy was running alongside 5 of the leaders. With 350 meters to go, somebody accidentally tripped up Stacy, and she hit the track hard. She fell. And when she got back on her feet, she was in 5th place, 25 meters back from the leader. What she did over the course of the next 350 meters was stunning. She, one by one, bloodied, got up, tracked down each of those 4 runners ahead of her, eventually passing the leader with 75 meters to spare. So in 275 meters, bloodied, she got up and passed everyone to win the Orange County Championship. Incredible. In fact, I think that video is still up on YouTube. You should check it out. I encourage you to take a look at it. And from there, she went on to complete a historic season that culminated with a 3rd place finish in the 1,600 meters, one of the fastest 1,600 meter times in the nation that year. She ran an astonishing 4:49 for the mile. She left Orange Lutheran with 6 school records, individual and relay, ultimately matriculating to Colorado, where she ran for the Division I program, and eventually won 2 national titles for Azusa Pacific in the mile, indoor and out. And as a coach, it's just such a great joy to see an athlete like Stacy combine natural talent with a fierce work ethic to produce superlative results. And through the ups and downs in high school, beyond and in college, Stacy has shown great courage and diligence, character traits that are truly worthy of emulation. And when the going got tough, God provided Stacy with the power to get going. She did all of this with a fun-loving and generous heart, a boundless enthusiasm, and a joy that was truly infectious. And personally, on behalf of my family, it's been a great joy to continue to stay connected with Stacy all these years and call you a great friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce 2019 inductee Staci Foster Nash.
This has been an absolute dream of mine to be inducted into the Orange Lutheran Hall of Fame. I remember getting a call from Coach Preus my freshman year of college. I was sitting in my dorm room, and he told me that OLU created a Hall of Fame. In my head, I was like, that'd be so cool in 40 years to maybe be inducted, and I can bring my family and kids. I don't have kids, but I'm so honored to be able to share this night with my husband, Matt. I have a handful of people I'd like to thank who have helped me through my 4 years of high school and have encouraged me. I'd first like to thank God for giving me this ability to run fast. Without him, none of this would be possible. For Orange Lutheran, for hiring such an awesome staff from the teachers who are all supportive of athletics, especially Mr. Klitzing, announcing how the sports teams did in class. Little things that helped keep me motivated through the year, to the athletic staff, especially the training room, keeping me healthy, and Mr. Lisk having to listen to my every ache and pain with the biggest smile. I also want to thank my cross-country and track team and assistant coaches. They continue to put a smile on my face every day of practice. They pushed me to be the best runner I could be. I'm so honored to share this night with them. As well, it goes to show how hard we all worked throughout the year, not only to win that title, but as a team, how we came together and were able to push our boundaries for one another. My family, first with my brother, for having to put up with my running through high school and college. I am so sorry it's such a boring sport, but you always supported me and encouraged me, and I love you so much for that. My dad, who is actually racing Formula One boats in Europe right now, I wanted to thank him for being one of the biggest cheerleaders for driving us to state in the motorhome, driving to Santa Barbara to escape the fires with the team, for going to all of my meets and giving me the most competitive spirit that there ever was. I finally want to thank my sweet mom. There are two main people in my life that I couldn't have done any of this without, and you are one of them. From all those turkey Subway sandwiches you brought me to school before every cross-country and track meet, for every ice bath you got ready for me with the heater and music blaring, for being the team mom, braiding our hair, bringing us food and bagels before big races, providing us with the best coloring books, driving us to the races while we scream Fergalicious in your car and listen to horrible rap music. I'm so sorry, but thank you. You were at every race, big or small, cheering for me. You were there to comfort me when I failed miserably, and were there to celebrate when I did well and reached my goals. Thank you. I love you so much. Finally, Coach Preus, you completely changed my life when I met you. You helped me dream so big, bigger than I could ever imagine. I remember my freshman year looking up results from the state meet and thinking to myself, wow, those girls are insanely fast, breaking 4:50 in the mile, that's crazy, and I can never do something like that. Not only did you help me do that, but I got to stand up on that state podium as well. I put all my faith with running in you over the last 3 years that you coached me. I believed in you, and you helped me believe in myself. My school records, results, accolades, and getting a college scholarship was a direct result of your coaching. You taught me how to never give up and to persevere through everything, which I used during my college running a lot, but it paid off in the end, and I credit my NCAA titles to you. Over these last 13 years, I can confidently say that I wouldn't be the person I am today without your influence in my life. You not only shaped me into an amazing runner, but you also showed me what a father, husband, and a godly man looks like. I'm so honored to be getting inducted into the Hall of Fame alongside of you. Finally, I'd like to thank my sweet aunts and uncles, my mom, Cody, Anna, my cousins, Cindy, Allie, and Jared, Kev, and Matthew for being here tonight. Thank you.
Well, it's been fun to watch Stacy's career from a freshman on this campus. I, too, had the pleasure of teaching her in class. Her freshman year was my first year. And to watch her go on to win national championships at the collegiate level. And if you don't follow Stacy now, do so, because she's now doing it on two wheels, making podium after podium and winning championships on a mountain bike now. So, Stacy, congrats to you, and thank you for representing Orange Lutheran well. It's now my pleasure to welcome up legendary coach back up to the stage, Coach Jim Cunha. Thank you.
One of the other sayings that we had before a game went something like this: there is a destiny that makes us brothers. None goes his way alone. All that we send into the lives of others comes back into our own. Well, Eric, I think you have a visual representation of that tonight. So many of your teammates who are here. And even before I go into that, I do want to say a very special thank you to Bruce and Sandy from the development office who made this happen. And so appropriate. But it's so great to see so many of your teammates. What a great class that you led. And to see fellow captains here like Zach Heim and Seth Blackamore, Brandon Rohr, Pat Rojas, other great players like the Smart brothers, John Mercurio, Eric Palomo, so many great young men here tonight in support and honor of you, Eric. That's something super special. You know, and I think it's in the little program. In the 20 years that I coached here, I think we only had 5 players in those 20 years out of, I think, about 2,000 total players who started all 4 years on varsity. It was pretty much unheard of. Well, Eric was one of those guys. And not only was he a starter, over time, he became a dominant player. In his 4 years, and in those other great young men that I mentioned, in their 4 years, they played 3 CIF championship games. They won 4 league titles. In Eric's senior year, he led our defense in a spectacular effort where we won a championship in Angel Stadium. And Eric did all of that without ever drawing an ounce of attention to himself. If you were to go back and look at Eric's table today, there's a highlight film running. And normally, players have, from football, they have their own individual highlight film, but they also have a team highlight film. And I asked his mom about that because I saw the team highlight film running, and she said, well, he would only allow us to play the team highlight film. And that tells you an awful lot about Eric's character. Very rarely did I really kind of zero in and focus on any of our individual players during the course of the game as you're kind of coaching a game and dealing with the strategy stuff. But I remember specifically a couple games where I zeroed in on Eric. We were playing Santa Margarita his senior year. Santa Margarita had a big, powerful offensive line, and Eric started at defensive tackle and also at offensive guard. And we were really concerned about them being able to take advantage of us. But all night long, the two guys assigned to Eric failed time and time again. Eric would continually defeat these two bigger guys, and he kind of lived in Santa Margarita's backfield all night, and we shut them out. And then his junior year, when we were playing Mater Dei, Eric had another dominant performance, and we held Mater Dei to about 120 total yards and had a pretty big decisive victory. And it was another one of those marquee moments for us and for our school, playing Mater Dei and then decisively winning, and just kept raising the bar. And I think Eric did all of that because he had certain fundamental traits and qualities. Number one is his humility. You know, and humility is a word that really means to harness power. And it's obviously a very attractive quality. But you may be the most humble player that ever put on a uniform in this school's history, Eric. Never, ever once sought accolades or attention at all. You simply wanted the best for your teammates and your team. In other words, a coach's dream. And as a coaching staff, it was a dream to coach you. Secondly, Eric was completely selfless. All that mattered to him was how well his teammates and his team did. Third was he had just an unbreakable commitment to excellence. Eric knew what the standard was. It was to unselfishly give your best every day, and every player who's in here who played knows and understands that. It's a very easy thing to say, and it's almost an impossible thing to do. But Eric, you did that every single day for 4 years. You always came and gave your very best. Every single day. And it didn't matter what the circumstances were. You took on any adversity, any challenge, never flinched, just like right now. Eric, the fourth quality I really think about you is you led by example. We had a very tough situation going into Eric's senior year. We had this great senior class and just a great group of young guys, and we had the returning CIF Player of the Year at quarterback, Seth Blackmore, who's here. And about a week before our opener against Mater Dei, Seth tore his ACL. And we as a coaching staff, we got together and we thought, man, what looked like a really promising season could end up being a real struggle. But while we were meeting and talking about what a struggle it might be, I think Eric and Pat and some of the other guys in this room were getting together and saying, hey, we aren't going to let Seth down, we aren't going to let each other down, we aren't going to let our school down. And after a tough opening game where we were adjusting to life without Seth, Eric went on to lead us to winning 13 straight games that culminated in winning that championship in Angel Stadium. And all of that happened, I believe, because of the character of those young men, but especially, Eric, because of you. And when I thought about you, and I thought about watching you specifically, for example, in that Santa Margarita game, I thought about the verse from Joshua, because you reminded me of a great warrior for the Lord in the Old Testament. And in Joshua 1:9, it says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Eric, you have left a legacy of such magnitude and influence that each one of us whose lives has been touched by you and deeply impacted by you will forever be blessed and better people because of you. You are one of the most incredible players that ever played here, or any athlete that ever walked through the halls here, and yet you're even a more exceptional human being than you were a player, and that's saying something. I just want you to know the legacy that you've left in my life and in the lives of so many people in this room is unimaginable and unquenchable, and we will forever be in your debt. And I'll tell you what, those two cute little boys at home, man, do they have the right stuff in them. They sure do. And that beautiful wife right next to you, I kind of know why you have two such beautiful boys at home. You may have poured in a lot of great character, but fortunately they got those good looks, I think, from that beautiful lady next to you. Danielle, what a privilege to have you here tonight and a part of this. Thank you for who you are. Well, Eric, it's just my pleasure to bring you up here right now as the newest inductee into the Orange Lutheran Hall of Fame.
That's a far cry from today, but those were the glory days. I just want to thank you for this honor, this opportunity. Just what a great place to be right now. You know, like just look around this room and really soak in this moment. And personally, I feel just overwhelmed and loved to be able to share this evening with such a quality group of people. I know some of us are strangers to each other, but isn't it something special when something bigger than yourself brings you together as one body, such as Orange Lutheran has done tonight? I believe this to be rare and to be cherished because I feel it's very far in between. Before I forget, I want to thank my parents for everything they did to make this possible, to be here now, to attend Orange Lutheran. This school wasn't really in our price range growing up, but my parents did everything they could to sacrifice so that we could be here, which I truly appreciate, and it's made me a big part of who I am today. Just being a part of this school and this football program has helped shape my life. Football has been such a big part of my life. It's been 11 years total I got to play this game. Something that I just wanted to hold on to till the very end. This particular football program is something special. It's different than college. It's different than a lot of places that I've been and seen. Orange Lutheran football truly paved my way. The group of men that I stood with on the field are here today. You can't ask for a better group to grow up with, to do life with. Just a better group that I call my group. It's our tribe. The relationships I've made on and off the field to be part of Orange Lutheran is second to none. Through Orange Lutheran, through football, through the programs, I was able to become a collegiate athlete, which brought me to Athletes to Business, which brought me to my career. So football has channeled that focus, that work ethic, the motivation to succeed and win and to put the work and time in. It's truly helped form that stage in your life. It's so crucial in that maturing. The work ethic, it's funny that this Orange Lutheran football, I said that, it was very demanding, very a lot of time spent on the field, on the classroom, practicing, going over plays, going over film, study hall. I spent more time with football than I did my parents or friends, but the football team, we were just one big family. It's a very special thing when you get 11 bodies on a field and doing anything in sync so well. And that's something special that I know that I was part of with the group of men that I played with, who I grew up with, who I spent countless hours on the field, sweating, bleeding, just persevering. And the outcome was a lot of success, and we worked for it. They brought up a question to me before this, is how has God helped in your journey? And I thought it was kind of funny. I actually laughed. I ask, how hasn't he been part of your journey? You know, to really think about it. I feel that he's been there from the beginning to now, He's helped shape and guide and lead myself and many of us. It helped Jim lead us to a championship, to see the group of men that we were together as one is something very special and something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. So just thank you for this opportunity, and I just want to thank God for giving me the ability to be here and to be part of this night. Thank you.
Well, Eric, congratulations again. We know from Lancer's past to those that walk these hallways, to those in the future, the story that Coach K told, story of character and fortitude will continue to live on in the story of he and his brothers and their years on this campus to be imparted into Lancers into the future. So thank you, Eric, for being a very special Lancer for life here. It's my pleasure to welcome back up to the stage Dr. Jack Preus.
I had the great privilege of introducing a historic group of women. And so grateful to Orange Lutheran, the alumni board, and the team here for bringing us back together. It's you don't get to come back together very often to celebrate such a great accomplishment. Just like with any team, there were many people behind the scenes in 2007 that made this incredible season possible. And we certainly want to acknowledge all the parents, many of which are here today, the coaches, and the school leadership for their support in creating such an environment for success that year. The 2007 Orange Lutheran girls cross-country season began with high hopes. Bolstered by the leadership of several experienced senior leaders, the team set out to make a return to the California State Championships. There was experience, talent, and additional depth as the team began summer practice in July of 2007. Many Lancer teams had made it to the state meet in the past. There was a strong legacy to build upon, but one trophy had eluded them. In September that year, at the Woodbridge and Stanford Invitationals, two of the nation's largest and most competitive regular season cross-country meets, the Lancers left no doubt that they intended to be in the hunt in 2007. At each meet, the girls drew statewide attention by smashing Orange Lutheran team time records and by staging upsets over several highly ranked rivals. At the Trinity League Championship meet that year, the girls not only defeated their opponents, but did so in dominating fashion, placing 5 scoring runners in the top 7, going 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Imagine that. It was a red wave coming down into the finish chute. And after reaching the CIF finals, the team continued to break records that year, this time running the fastest team time in school history on the famed Mount Sac course. The team finished second, qualifying for the state meet and setting the stage for an exciting battle at the state meet 2 days after Thanksgiving. And it was a cool November morning at Woodward Park in Clovis, California, where 7 Lancers towed the starting line. And as the gun cracked for the start of the meet, the girls began a race that 19 minutes and 27 seconds later culminated in accomplishing something that no girls Lancer team in any sport had ever done. Stacy, Taylor, Jane, Ava, Bianca, Taylor, and Kirsta had won the 2007 California Division III State Championship. They were California's finest. This group of now women was incredible. They pushed themselves so hard, redefining what excellence looked like each and every week. I recall at practice one day, we were out at a local park, and a local rival coach, successful rival coach, happened to has had his team there practicing at the same time. And as our team came roaring by to finish up their practice, this coach yelled out, "Hey, you guys are running too hard. You're never going to get there running that hard. You guys need to slow down. You're working yourselves too hard." Our girls didn't like that too much. They kept pushing all season. They handled the pressure of increased competition and visibility, ultimately bringing their absolute best performance on the biggest stage. And with additional time, I could recount how each of these women was a critical part of the team's success. I was looking through some old notes in preparation for today, and I came across some closing remarks that I had made at the team banquet that year. One of the things I told many runners that season, especially those who were going through tough times, was that running, like life, is a collection of days. In any given day is hardship, despair, loneliness, and it's only in the collection of days that you begin to see the true nature of who you are and how you're able to define an experience. If you look at any one meet or practice or event, you may not see the beauty. But looking back at a collection of days, you begin to not only see the beauty, but God's workmanship and his hand in architecting your life. Therefore, it's important to keep plugging along, to keep pushing, to keep going. What is it about running that makes people want to do this? Frankly, for us, I think as runners, it's about doing it together. It's about a special bond. It's about camaraderie. It's about that feeling you get when you accomplished something together. So today we celebrate an amazing team, a group that just kept going, kept plugging along, and accomplished something very, very special together. It's my privilege, and I'm going to call them up one by one in a moment, though, to acknowledge and introduce the newest inductee, the newest team inductee, the 2007 girls cross-country team. And as you come up, actually today we're going to have you come over here to my left, down below, and we're going to start with our coaches today. Our first coach from that great season, again I mentioned earlier, can't be here today with us. He passed away a few months later. I'd like to acknowledge Guy Ponce's wife, Renetta, his mother, and his daughter, Tiffany, are here. We acknowledge them and thank them for coming. Guy Ponce had an incredible, lasting impact for many years on the Orange Lutheran cross-country and track and field programs. It is a great honor to induct him into the Hall of Fame alongside the team. I'd like to recognize one of our other important coaches from that season, have her come up, Coach Brook Bertrand. She's here today. Brook was not only the coach for that particular season, but coached many years here at Orange Lutheran in cross-country, track and field, leading our athletes to great success in both sports. Let's begin now with the women, and we'll begin with the alternates for that year. These women didn't actually get to run in the race, but they were on the bench ready to go. And they trained for weeks beyond the season's end, just in case, to be ready to go and run that year. They had great seasons themselves on a very deep team, and their contributions was very important. I'd like to welcome up our first inductee, Clarissa Kenny Wild. Next, Hillary Mills. Anna Bray. And the group, the 7 of the girls that ran in that historic race, first up, Staci Foster Nash. Taylor Dutch Miller. The next inductee could not be here tonight. She's actually in a vet school overseas, but sends her greetings, Ava Kent. Bianca Ricka Langtree. Taylor Williams. And finally, Kirsta Andrew Fisher. Jane and Taylor are going to come up and they're going to say a few remarks on behalf of the team. I forgot Jane, sorry. I apologize. Jane Kerner Hall. My apologies, Jane, thank you. Oh, she was there, and yeah, she ran. Very good. Now, Jane and Taylor are going to come forward to say a few remarks on behalf of the team.
I'm Jane. This is Taylor. What an honor it is to be here tonight, to be recognized for all the countless hours and miles that we put in to making it to state almost a decade ago. Ironically, a few weeks ago, my dad dropped off about 20 boxes of memories at my house, and in it I found a quote by my teammate, Clarissa Kenny, that I actually read at our senior banquet as well, and it just really resonated with me when I was thinking about this team. It is not by some miraculous luck of the draw that we were thrown together as a team. We were specially selected by God to represent Him as a part of this team, and I truly believe that. Each of us played a crucial role in getting us here today. Whether it was Stacy's strong competitive spirit, Anna Bray's lighthearted and fun-loving nature, or Taylor's quiet confidence, God gave each of us a specific role. Some might think that cross-country is an individual sport based on individual results. While it is true, each runner is running their own race, it's the accumulative points of each runner that makes up the team's results. When you're a part of a team, there is an unexplainable will and drive that comes from within to run for more than just yourself and for your own personal results, but rather to strengthen your team, knowing that each member is counting on one another.
Sorry. And that team mentality has continued to stay with us now, 11 years later. We asked the girls what they thought this team meant to them, and their answers reflected that the lessons we learned while on this team have carried on with us through the years. Anna Bray ran the Boston Marathon last year, and yes, that deserves an applause. And she recalled feeling Coach Ponce's presence when she was charging up Heartbreak Hill, which is a really, really hard hill. But she remembered his compassionate, empathetic spirit, encouraging her on the entire way. Bianca recalls this team as a group of sisters, a family to her, and a time in her day where she could have some peace. And I think of this team as the first time I really learned what it meant to commit to something that was bigger than myself. I knew this team was different from the very start. We prayed before every race, every practice. We would send each other really encouraging notes before big races, which was really special. And, you know, our PRs, our medals, our victories were great, but what was really special was we learned what it meant to run for God and, you know, show our talents, the talents that God gave us every day in practice and every race. And while we did win a state championship, and that still is one of my favorite athletic memories, I think what's really special is that we learned what it meant to run as a unit and to run for God. And I think that's the biggest victory.
And so that amazing team culture was no accident. It was cultivated by our amazing teammates with hard work and care, and every person that contributed to this team helped us get to where we are today. So we just wanted to thank you to all of our teammates that are standing beside us today.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here today without Coach Preus, Coach Ponce, Coach Wilson, our parents, the volunteers, and our amazing teammates. So thank you to all of you, and yeah, thank you for this amazing honor.
Run for the one.
Like most events here, athletic events here at Orange Lutheran, we close with the Alma Mater. If it's been a couple minutes, it's conveniently in the back and they put a spotlight on the words. Please join me in the Alma Mater. O Lutheran High, we stand beside you, proud to wear your name. Anchored in the hope eternal, ever to remain. Oh, may your cherished truth be taught as strength from day to day. May your campus be a refuge to all along the way. Devoted to the love of Christ, supreme in all our lives. As armored soldiers of the cross,